So, welcome to Chapter 1 of my top Flite Cessna 182 Skylane build. This particular model has been around for quite some time, as you will find out in the following videos. Find out how this came about.
Hello again, and welcome to my shop. As some of you know who've been following my channel, I had some unfortunate, actually it was unfortunate, I did it, but unfortunately the aircraft that I was working on, the SPAD 13, the Balsa USA 1/4 scale, which I spent basically almost 5 years working on this thing. Anyway, it came out extremely heavy to the fact that I had to add basically 3.5 pounds to balance the airplane, which brought the total all up weight to over 26 pounds. This is a model that's targeted at 20 to 22 pounds maximum. So I decided that rather than trying to fly a missile or a bomb, just waiting to explode, I'm going to basically recover it and hopefully do a little better job on that one. So that got shelved, put away for the time being, but now I have another project that I'm going to talk about. So here you can see the latest project that I've kind of brought out of the dustbin, and there's a little bit of an interesting story on this. And basically it was a club member who started building this airplane. It's a top flight Cessna 182, and he purchased it probably early 2000, in that range. I'm thinking it's 25 years old, roughly. I don't know for exactly. Anyway, he started building it, partially completed the fuselage, the wings, tail feathers. A lot of stuff was basically done, but then he lost interest, and he shelved it, buried it in the basement, and we kind of lost track of our former member. So lo and behold, several years ago, he showed up, and one of our other club members was the recipient of this particular 182. So he picked it up, all the boxes, the plans, and everything that it had with it, and he brought it home, and he put it aside till he would get a chance to work on it. Well, unfortunately, he passed away. So the process of getting rid of his models, I was involved with that, and of course this was down in the basement. And I looked it over and I thought, well, that would be a fun project. I had some actual flying time, not in the 182, but the 172 and the 185, very similar airplanes. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to go back, so to speak. So she very generously gave me the model. So I brought it home, did an inventory onto it. A lot of parts missing, a lot of the important parts, the ABS cowl, some plastic windshield, the clear plastic, and the rear window as well. Kind of important stuff, and a few other hardware issues as well. So I said, okay, well, I know what I need. I'll start looking on the internet, Googling it, and if anybody has tried to find parts for these older type airplanes, especially the old kits, they're not hard. They're very difficult to find, and they carry quite a price tag if you can find something in good shape. So anyway, I kind of said, well, I'll put that on the back burner for a while as well. Anyway, lo and behold, I decided, well, I wonder if I can get in contact with the original owner. So I made a few inquiries, and finally got his phone number, called him up, and he said, Jim, you're not going to believe this. He said, I'm just in the process of moving. I was cleaning out my basement, and I found 2 boxes of all those parts you want. And wow, I was blown away. So I made arrangements to go to his place. We picked them up, went through them. Everything was there in perfect shape. And as a bonus, the interior kit was there as well. All the plastic to do the full interior, seats, everything was in there. So that was a great find. So anyway, I decided, well, I'm going to start working on that as soon as the SPAD is done. Well, the SPAD is done, not the way I'd like it to be, but I need another project. It's still mid-February. I've still got another couple of months I could be working on stuff before the spring thaw, so to speak. So anyway, this is the airplane I have. The pictures, you'll see some still pictures on this video. Shows you the condition when I got it. Since I've got it, I've added the tail feathers have been put on. I just finished doing the fin extension here. And yeah, it's coming along really good. So I'm just going to take a few minutes here and walk through, show you what I have here, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, so as I mentioned, when I received the model, the empennage was not part of it. It had been, the fuselage was basically, the main fuselage was assembled, and that was it. So I've since added the stabilizer, the fin, and of course I'm just finishing up on the dorsal fin. There was a couple of mistakes made when he built it. The first obvious one was right here.
This was supposed to be planked in the whole length with no seam here, but he had cut them off, cut the formers off, so I had to improvise and be a little bit of filling, a little bit of sanding. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. So that'll be another work in progress. So everything inside was pretty much the way you see it. I've added a couple of formers across for the interior kit, the floor. The servos are in place now for the engine and also for the elevator and rudder. And as you can see, the tank is mounted transversely, I guess they would say. And that's the only way you get in there that makes any sense. And the engine I'm using, they recommend a 60 to a 92 stroke or a 90 to a 124 stroke. Now, I've had just about enough of the glow fuel, so I actually had this DLE 20 that I had used on another model that unfortunately flew into the ground upside down and scattered itself all over. So anyway, the engine was salvageable, so I decided I would use it in this. Should be adequate power and don't have the mess going along with it, so looking forward to that. This is the wing, currently in temporary storage. I've touched, as you'll see in some of the pictures, still pictures in the video, there was a lot of repairs that had to be done. He was rather aggressive with his sanding to the point where the skins were tissue paper. My fingers were actually going through, so I did a lot of beefing up and basically repairing anything that was a little bit suspect. It was optional whether you wanted to use the flaps on this particular wing, and he hadn't cut them out yet, so I decided I think I would go with that. But again, I ran into some issues with some of the construction that he had, so as you can see, there's a fair amount, a little bit of filler involved with it. But overall, they mounted good, and all I got to do is put the hinging onto them and do the servo hookup. So hopefully that'll come out okay. Here you can see the fuselage in as-received condition. My first modification was to add triangular reinforcements to the engine box, as I was going to be using a slightly heavier, more powerful engine. The tail feathers had already been constructed, and it was just a simple matter of sizing them and fitting them to the rear of the fuselage. I was fortunate that the kit was complete, including the original plans, and they had not been brutalized. They were still in rolled format, so relatively easy to use. Once I was happy with the tail feathers, it was time to move on to the installation of the motor mount. I had a rubber isolation mount that I had used in a previous model, and it actually fit perfectly, so it was a relatively easy fix. Here the motor is installed on the mount, and it was relatively easy. As you can see, there's a few other holes in that mount, so that actually worked out quite well. With the engine installation completed, it was time, I think, to have a look at what the interior cockpit will look like. Here you can see the interior loosely installed, but it kind of gives you an idea that it's going to be a very complete cockpit. Before I spent any more time on the fuselage, I wanted to check out the wing and see what kind of repairs or work would be required for that. And I'm glad I did, because as you can see in these photos, there was significant amount of very thin sheeting which had been over sanded, and some areas weren't completed quite right according to the plans, so there were some repairs that desperately needed to be done. Actually, the more I worked on this thing, the more I found issues. Every time I seemed to pick it up, my finger would go through a soft spot. So it ended up, as you can see, there was a fair amount of areas that needed to have some repairs done to them. Here the repairs are being completed, and slowly the wing is starting to become a solid piece that will hopefully accept some fiberglass cloth. And of course, just about the time I thought that everything was finished and we could do the final sanding, lo and behold, another soft spot. But as luck would have it, this was the last piece that I had to replace. And once they were done, it was a rough sanding, get the wing in shape, make sure there's no more soft spots, and then put it aside for the next little project that I wanted to look at. The plans gave you an option of whether you wanted to have the flaps operational or not. Well, of course, the 182 had flaps, so they had to be incorporated. So this is just a couple of pictures as I cut them clear of the wing and then added the parts that needed to be put onto it to make them operational. One of the jobs that needed to be done, and not my favorite thing, is basically putting ABS plastic parts together. But the cowling had to be done, so and again, I was very fortunate to have the cowling, so I started to assemble it and do the necessary filling and get the primer onto it so it would be ready to take the final paint. I did take the time to incorporate the cowl flaps, as I felt it was necessary to basically have that cowl being able to breathe. We want to have some air moving over that gas engine. So here it is completed and in its primer and just waiting for the final finished colors. So now it was back to the fuselage and the installation of the dorsal fin. We're slowly getting this thing together, so stay tuned. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first chapter of my Cessna 182 build. Please hit the like and subscribe if you would like to get more notifications of the following chapters. Until next time, have a great day. Bye now.